Hello and welcome to the 8th Feedback Show. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
We're back. It's been 2 weeks already with your submissions.
It's amazing, isn't it? 8 shows. I said this last time, a couple of weeks ago, a couple of shows ago, how these shows are adding up, and they are. And now with the podcast show, it just seems so regular now, which is good. I'm pleased it is.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice. Do you think it's a nice combination, the podcast show, which is about us and what we're up to, and the feedback show, which is more about the customer. It's nice. It's a nice balance, that, isn't it? It only dawned on me the other day how good that actually was.
Yeah. I think the podcast, we can just slip into that and sort of just roll into that, and it's nice to be back to that routine of doing that. And then I think this complements it in between, doesn't it?
I think so, yes. Because in a way, I suppose the original podcast was a kind of combination of the two things, wasn't it? But this is now separating, and I think it's separated really well. One for us and one for the members. And, this is the members show. You've got some great stuff coming up.
Yeah. So if you're tuning in for the first time and you're not sure what the feedback show is, then it's a show where we feature your artwork. So if you're a member of Colin Bradley Art, you can, as part of that membership, send us your artwork and we'll feature it on this show and offer tips and advice. And we broadcast it on YouTube so that even non-members can benefit from the advice, because we do that with all the questions, as many of the questions as we can that come in, because obviously, if someone's got a question, a lot of other people are interested in hearing that answer. So with a platform like this and 14,000 subscribers, we've got a good platform to share all that advice rather than just one-to-one.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. No, I couldn't agree with you more. And in a way, I've always wanted something like this, when I was teaching, because it's so nice to be able to explain to people, and point them in the right direction. It's books don't work, videos do to a certain extent, but you can't ask the question on a video. But here we go right to the crux of the matter. And when you said the other day that you wanted people to tell us what we should focus on, I mean, this is going to happen this week more than ever, and I think people would appreciate that. What it does, it focuses me. I can see what the problem is and I can solve it. Well, I can advise anyway. And as we know from the last feedback show, we've had 2 or 3 people come back from that show and said, we've done it, it works, thank you.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about.
Absolutely. 100%. So there's a few things in here. We've got pictures, obviously, to give feedback on, and we've got some other little questions that we want to talk about. So the first one, this one comes from Gabrielle, and she's done a lovely job of this picture here. Her question is, what mount to use for this picture? She's thinking about a black one. What would you suggest if you were mounting this picture?
Well, I certainly wouldn't use black. That's definitely a no-go. Sometimes in a picture you can pick up things that pick up colors, not necessarily on the background, but in the animal itself. Now I'm looking at 2 colors that stand out. One is the pink, or reddy pink in the ear, which is very nice.
Oh, yeah.
And the other one is the ochre color on the animal. Now, both of those colors would work if you put them on a mount, but I would suggest a double mount here. What I would tend to do, the 2 suggestions, one is that ochre color. That would be a great mount to use for the outside mount. In other words, the one that shows. Now, the one inside could be either that red, but make it the dark part of that red. That would be one option.
Yeah.
The other option, if you don't really want to go that bright, then I would use maybe a dark gray, but not black. Don't use black. A very dark gray.
Right.
But if you look at the ochre right underneath the ear on the animal, you've got ochre and the very dark gray. I mean, it could be looked at as being black, but it's not actually rigid black, is it? Like the area under the eye. Now, those 2 how good do they look together there? So imagine them as a mount. That would look stunning. In fact, I think I prefer that to the red, to be honest.
Yeah. So the outside color
Is the ochre.
is the ochre.
Or
That's the outside of the mount.
as close as you can get to it, yeah. And the inside would be a dark grey.
That's interesting.
That's my advice.
Okay, good advice. And yeah, that's interesting. We've had some more questions about mounting actually over the last week, in response to our podcast as well that we put out. A lot of people asking about mounts and stuff. It's quite a tricky thing to do when you've got all those options. I think your approach here with looking at the colours in the picture and picking out some key ones there is a really good tip.
Well, I've always done that right from the word go. Because I used to frame pictures when I first started out in the gallery. I framed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, Gabrielle. Now, this is an example of our advice going to good work here. Michelle's sent us the altered version of the Labrador and changing the background. And obviously the one on the right is the changed version. And how good does that look?
Chalk and cheese, isn't it?
I mean, it's stunning, isn't it?
Absolutely chalk and cheese. Very well done.
You can see the background, but also the lifting of the ear. You can see on the right-hand side, and you wouldn't until you see the difference, until you see it change. You go, "Wow, that is quite a big difference that's made."
That's right. Excellent. Well done.
Beautiful. Really, really beautiful. So this is another one from Michelle. This is another one she's asked for feedback on. I don't know if I think we mentioned this picture actually a couple of feedback shows ago about the eyes, and then Michelle's given it a go.
Well, it's well done. I would say the thing that strikes me is the cut-off head. Now, I can understand why that's done, because it would be very difficult to, and I did suggest that you don't do the animal's back and body. But what I would have done there on that, the bottom of the head, the neck, where it touches the color of the background, I would have blended that in, like fogged it in. It tends to look as though it's been cut off.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you blend those two, you only got to put your finger on it and just blend those two together, just to blend it in. Perhaps put a little bit more background, perhaps put a little bit more of the dark grey on that you used, or I imagine it might be the black perhaps, or 181. Anyway, whatever color it is, you can put that on, just blend it. It's not easy to do that, but it would make a big difference to it.
So it just merges it and bridges the two.
Yes. And just for argument's sake here, if this picture was done again, I would suggest a little bit more neck, extend that neck a little bit.
Right.
Because you do need a little bit more to make it really work. Yeah, that sort of thing. That would have been a slightly better area.
Would you have done that along there?
Well, it's very difficult to do that because you're cutting off the head. This is why I say you've got to be really careful when you're doing working from photographs.
Yeah.
Artistic license is one thing, but getting it wrong can make turn a picture into a bit of a nightmare.
I think a good example of a picture that you've done in a similar post, this is Jasper.
That's right. Yes.
My sister, your daughter's dog. And it's on the membership site as a pack, downloadable pack.
Yes.
But if you go to the sign up page, if you're not a member of the website, you go to sign up page and scroll to the animal section. I think it's there listed in the gallery as one of the animals that you can draw. And Jasper's got a similar pose. And I think obviously you can see the composition of the neck, how much neck is in that picture as a good example.
Yeah.
Actually, why am I talking? I can find it. I can find it on the computer. Hold on a second. It just reminded me of that pose that
that's right.
Michelle's dog's got actually. All right, I'll find that while you talk. Oh no, here it is. Here it is.
Yes.
See how you've got more neck in this one.
That's right.
It's not quite.
It's just a little bit of balance is there, isn't it? If you see the balance there is better than just having, imagine that cut off. the situation, yes, above there, it would be there. Yes, you see the difference it makes if you do that, and then
Yeah.
you look at the original. Just makes it
Yeah.
more of a picture. Anyway, I hope, Michelle, that this has
Mm.
helped you.
Mm. Yeah, great work again. As with your other one, it's great practice. All these pictures you're doing. This one comes from Maureen. She says that she has problem blending the background and also finding the eyes very difficult. I think she's done a good job of these eyes.
She has. It is. Well, they are difficult. There's no question about it, and because they are so important to the picture, the difficulty is that when you focus on them too much, sometimes you perhaps try too hard,
Mm.
and then they look like two little glass marbles. It's not easy to do. The only thing I can say is practice. Now, I want to also mention one thing here, which actually relates to the last picture as well. Now, what Maureen's done, she's followed my ideas of putting the animal with a background underneath it or surrounding it. Now, what I would have done with this one is not done that at all. I would have followed the picture that's on the screen to the left and
Oh, okay.
finished it there. You don't need to have a background there. That would have been a little bit better. Okay,
Mm.
and it
Okay.
also solved a little bit of your background problem as well there. Now, as far as the background is concerned, don't worry too much. I think you've done a really good job of that background.
Well, the subject's clearly the focus point. It's
Yeah,
not
I
taking
I,
anything
I
away from
think
it.
there's a lot of members and non-members would be looking at that thinking, but that looks all right to me, and it does. So don't worry too much about it. I think it looks pretty good.
Mm.
But keep practicing. Keep watching my pictures that I've done, and you'll see that eventually you'll crack it. You're on your way.
Mm. Mm. Excellent. Thanks, Maureen. A couple of pictures here sent by Melissa. A nice animal landscape here. The main issue she says she had with the landscape was getting realistic looking trees. Well, how often has we heard that? And she was very happy with the staffy, but struggled with the background. Again, the background. When she rubbed it with her finger, the pastel kept rubbing off.
Well, it should. It won't if you persevere. I, there is there is two reasons why that can happen. One is you put too much undercolor on, and
Right.
that can make a difference. In other words, if you put too much light grey on, then the dark color has a problem with it.
There's not enough paper for the tooth in the paper to grip the pastel.
That's
Is
right.
that it?
Well, but it's more that the underneath color is mixing with the color on top. That can make a big difference. See, if you look at mine, I would have started with, mid grey and gone down darker. The quicker you can get to the dark colors, the better it'll be. So that's one thing that can happen. Another thing that can happen is sometimes your fingers don't perform as they should do when you're rubbing in. In other words, you could get some oil on them, and that can actually take off the pastel. So watch both of those points. But well done, excellent picture. I think as far as the trees are concerned, don't worry too much about the trees. Your trees are really good. Those trees aren't realistic. How many trees do you get that are completely ochre in color? The idea, I don't think mine are realistic. They're not meant to be. The whole idea of these pictures, and this is one of quite a number that's coming up, and they've all got different colored trees in, is to vary it slightly. In art, you can do what you want really, as long as it works, and that does work in this particular instance, because I've kept the formula all the way through. If I'd have put those trees in ochre and put all the foliage in green, I know there's a touch of green, but it's not obvious, then it wouldn't have worked. You have to sort of stick to one or the other.
Well, it's keeping the harmony of the picture, isn't it? That would have
Absolutely,
thrown it way out.
yeah, that's right. But I think you've done really well. That's a hard picture to do, so well done.
Oh, great job, Melissa. Okay, this next one comes from John, and quite a lengthy email. But John did the polar bear, the little polar bear tutorial that we've done here,
Hmm.
which I know a lot of our members love, and then had a go at his own picture here, and talks about the background. He sent us stages that he went through, doing the background first, which was something he knows that
I don't
you
do.
do the background last. Yeah.
That's right.
Um, he found it difficult to achieve the fur around the edges of the adult polar bear,
Hmm.
and said some of the edges are grey, and a sharp 230 didn't cut the mustard as it was a bit soft. He ended up using a very light touch of 233 and then applied 230 on top to soften it a bit.
Right.
I'm not sure if that was the best way to go.
No, it's not. No, it's not the right to go. No, don't go that way. You should put on a picture like this. You should put the background, add the background afterwards. Now, what is probably wrong? Let me take you through a few things that's wrong. You've picked a picture which is really attractive, and if I was doing that picture, I would have followed it exactly as it is. I wouldn't have tried to make my own up. That's the first thing, because the background and the animal work really well together. Now, if you look at John's picture, we have a background and an animal which is more or less the same tone. You haven't got any contrast there. So what would you do? Well, I would darken the background. I wouldn't leave it as light as that. I would darken it. You know, you can see the edges there on the left-hand side has got a little sort of reddy, pinky reddy color. I would have put that against the animal, and that would have made the white stand out better. Still could do that. It's not a problem. But putting the background on first, you're preempting what you're going to do with the animal, and that's not a good idea. I go the other way around. I find the animal, do the animal in the colors that I want to do it, in the presentation that I want, then the background supports that. If you do it the other way around, you're chancing your arm. As far as the edges are concerned, you see, you wouldn't have had that problem had the background been darker, because the white would have gone on top of it and shown up.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's creating that contrast between the animal and the background.
So there's several things there, but well done anyway. It's hard. The other little problem you have too, if you look at the first image that is on that picture, where the background, John's put the background in, you've got an overspill of that color on the animal. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So John would have quite rightly rubbed it out and put more in, but by doing that, you've started to affect the paper. Now, if that was pristine without any problems on it, you'd have got a crisper finish. You'd have got a crisper, the colors would have been crisper. But you're already losing it to a certain extent. You've messed about with it a little bit. Another reason why you shouldn't put the background on first.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. Well, there's some good reasons for that process, definitely.
Yeah,
and explains a few things.
Everybody, Steve, have got their own idea of doing things. And if they work, it doesn't matter. I mean, forget what I say. If you can find a way of doing that without, with it looking great, then carry on. I can only give you a benefit of my experience, that I know that it wouldn't work for me, but it might work for you. Coming up, we've got some other pictures which are going to be where I do a background first. And you think, hey, Colin, you're saying don't do it, and you do. But there's a reason. And what I don't do is I don't do the background right up close to the subject. I leave gaps around it, and then put the subject in, and then fill the gaps up. See what I mean? So the paper is pristine.
I'm really looking forward to that. People seeing that one, definitely.
Oh, there's lots coming. There's fantastic pictures coming up, things you wouldn't believe. I'm not going to give too much away, but we have got some stunning pictures coming up.
We have,
and, as you know, Stephen,
I edited them.
I know, and that last one, which is,
I know.
Anyway, Let's
not say too much more.
No, I mustn't. Right.
So this picture is sent in to us by Jill, and Jill asks, Steve, could you ask Colin how I get the lightest color of my cat's fur? I've started off with white and tried several colors from my large Faber-Castell range on top of the white without success. It's the color underneath the eyes. I was thinking it was an ochre, but it looks a bit pinky too, and it appears a lot throughout her body in various strengths. Many
Right.
thanks, Jill.
Yep. Got the answer for you there. You've got white in the ear, haven't you? And you can see it's white. That's absolutely right. But if you look under the eye and you look at some of the fur in the main part of the body, it looks more ivory, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So why don't you put ivory on there? That's the first color. You can then put a little bit of white on top of the ivory, or if you want the other way around, you could put a bit of white and then put the ivory on. Now, once you've got those two colors on, you start to get the creamy look. If you put in a little touch of, say, 187, I would think would be a good one. Just a little touch of it. Don't want much of it. And then blend it with your blender, you'll get that color. Ish.
Okay.
Now, I say ish because you can't ever get the exact color. So you have to always compromise a little bit. But that's how it, if you look at the cat's muzzle under his nose and stretching round to the left, see how white that is?
Yeah.
Now look at the color under the eye and you see it's completely different tone. So what you've done is you've put the white on, you've tried other colors on, but you've actually put too much color on and you lose then the effect. But if you just did what I suggested, I would put ivory first there.
Ivory is your base.
Yes, and then put perhaps a little touch of white in it, but I wouldn't overdo the white. And then you can put in, and if you say, I think there's a touch of pink, stick the pink in as well. That will work. You're not using it. It's the strength of the base colors that's important here. If white goes on first, it establishes it similar to that color that you see around the muzzle. Therefore, it's much more difficult then to get a darker color into it. But if you start off with ivory, you've got a better chance.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay, good. That's good advice. Yeah, thanks,
I'm
Jill.
looking forward to seeing that picture.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
Let's know how you go.
Just before you go, Steve, I don't know what Jill is thinking about doing on this, but I would trim that picture down considerably. I would lose it. You know, no, down. Go on, go up a bit. I'll say up a bit. No, down a bit. Stop. That's it. Now, if you cut into the side a little bit more, cut into the side. A bit more. Stop. Now the other side a little bit. Yep. Down the top, you know already, don't you? You've done a bit more. That's it. Now look how nice that would be. Imagine it now as a picture.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
It's a profile, it's a picture, but all that other fur, which is very nice, and I think she's a delightful animal, but you don't need it. Just focusing on that would be great.
That's a big difference, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, thanks, Dad. Thanks, good advice. The last one we've got one more after this. Terry has sent in this amazing picture here. He's done this on black paper as well, which is interesting.
Black on black paper, that's great. I think that's amazing. When I saw that, I couldn't believe it. I think that really is enterprising, and you've done a fantastic job of it.
Isn't it? I mean, that's a really interesting picture.
Yeah.
The shading.
I don't know how you can. I don't think I could have improved on it, to be honest. How do you improve on that? The only thing I would say, I shouldn't say anything about it. It's great. The only thing I would say, you see the right-hand side with the ear is.
Yes.
Looks as though he's got a really funny looking ear there. It looks it's cut off. The reason it looks funny is because he's got that black down it. Now, if you filled that up with the white, or got rid of the back paper, or whatever way you're going to do it, that would have looked more realistic. But the fact that that little black edge is there.
Yeah, I see.
I mean, you could get away with it without doing that. You could actually, that's it. You could actually mount it. If you mount it, you could cut it off anyway or put it under the mount.
Yeah.
So, two ways of doing it, really. That's what I would do there.
Yeah. Being really picky.
Oh, I'm being very picky, and I shouldn't be, because it's a great
That's
picture.
yeah.
But if you want to make a picture really good, that's the sort of thing you do.
That's the thing
There's
you
only
do.
one tiny little. Can I be also a little bit more picky?
Go on in.
In the eye, the right-hand side is the only one you can see there. The shape of the eye is just very slightly out. It's more like an almond on the photograph, but it's slightly fatter on the
I see. Yeah, slightly
Terry's
thinner,
picture.
narrower, isn't it?
And as I say, I'm being picky there.
Yeah, that's again. You look. You know, if you're looking for things, that's it's
Well,
kind of things.
if you're following something like that picture and you really have no idea, I mean, if Terry may be an expert, these animals, I don't know, in which case he's got every right to say, no, they're not, they don't usually squint like that. But I don't take that risk. If I'm not sure about something, I follow what I see.
Mm.
You see, the thing is, it's not just that makes a difference. If he is, compressing his eye, all the muscles around there will also be compressed and changed. So by
Mm.
changing one thing like that, you should, in theory, change all the things. And you can't do that because that would be impossible. It's very hard to do something like that and get away with it totally.
Mm.
Anyway, I'm not being picky. That is just my advice. And through it, a little bit of help maybe and a little bit of suggestion can make a big difference.
Very good. Thanks. No, thanks, Dad. That's good. This is the last one. This comes from Sally. This is some advice she wants here on her son's dog. She wants to obviously do this picture, and he's wet. So how is she going to achieve this kind of effect?
I got some really great. Can you do your little moving
Cropping?
in job there? Yeah, crop it up. Keep going, and I'll tell you when to get rid of it, to stop. Okay. Yeah, I think stop there for a minute. Lose whatever that collar. Lose it. All right. Yeah, that's it, Steve. You're quite right. Down a bit on the other side. Open it up a little bit more than that. Just a little bit. That's all right. Yep. And down a little bit on the top, but not too much. Not too much on the top. No, you need to come in now because you're getting too square. That's it. That's it. Perfect. Now, lose the tail. You can see the tail sticking out the back. Lose that.
Yeah.
And I would do that as you see it there. Don't try to put it in a fog.
Right. Okay.
Underneath, I meant. At the background can be done very well. And then lose the collar, because that doesn't do anything for it at all. Just have to make that up. Unless you particularly want to put the collar in, but I wouldn't do it. Now, how do you do a wet dog? Well, quite simply, I wouldn't do a wet dog. I'd make him a dry dog. But if you particularly want it wet, the thing is you need more shine. So instead of it having more texture, it's got to have a more shine, smooth look, in other words. So you're going to have to get your colour shaper out for that. And the other thing, the fur is matting together, as you can see there. So you're going to have to follow that. I'm sure you've seen pictures of otters. I'm sure everybody's seen. And you see how their fur actually all knits together. Well, this is what's happening to our little friend here.
Right.
Makes it more difficult, though. Sally's got a harder job to actually produce that picture than a more fluffy, hairy dog. But anyway, and you've got plenty of pictures to look at if you want to do it. But it's a lovely picture, and well done.
So you wouldn't necessarily attempt to do a wet?
I wouldn't do it. No, I wouldn't do it. I mean, it may be. Sally's son has requested it. I don't know. Can you do a wet, Mum? And you say, I could. Colin said, better if I did.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting changing that composition as well. We've done that a few times. It's good to,
isn't it nice?
People see that.
This is what you've got to do, folks. You see, you play with it a little bit, and as I said, I don't think Sally would have put that tail in, but she might have been. But how old would he have looked?
Yeah. Oh, good advice. Brilliant. Okay, well, that's that's the end of the requests for this time. We'll be back in another couple of weeks with another feedback show with more pictures sent into you, sent into us by you. So you can go to the website colinbradleyart.com and get in touch with us through the site. If you email us your picture and your reference picture, if it isn't one of Dad's pictures, then we will put those side by side, and also your comments that you want us to specifically focus on areas that you found challenging. Gives us a bit more to play with, as you've seen today. Gives us areas to focus in on. And we'll also be back next week with another live broadcast. Don't know when, sometime during the week. We'll let you know on the Facebook page, and that will be our podcast that goes out every Friday on the website. But if you're lucky enough to tune in live or check it out on our YouTube channel, then you'll be able to watch it before Friday.
That's it. Excellent.
Fantastic. All right. Well, again, this is a service that is for members only. So if you're not a member of Colin Bradley Art and you want to become a member, then our plans start from just $3.99 per month, and you can cancel any time. So that's a pretty good deal if you want to get advice from a professional artist such as Dad. So that's not bad going. Okay, we'll leave it there. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.